I'm Gregor Thompson. I'm a philosopher and a writer, and I know what the meaning of life is. Welcome to The Struggle. This episode is brought to you by The Struggle newsletter. This is a weekly email newsletter in which I send out every Sunday for free a short article concerning the art of embracing struggle. If you're struggling to be more productive, to be healthy, to achieve your dreams, perhaps you're chasing the wrong thing. A lot of us believe that we should be aiming for happiness, but this is an unwise pursuit, as happiness comes and goes without any control from us. However, there is a way to be more fulfilled with life, and that is to embrace productive struggles, to exercise, to eat healthy, to have uncomfortable conversations, to take career risks, to discover who you are, and to be autonomous. That's why I created a newsletter. Along with the article, I also provide tips, strategies, and recommendations such as movies, music, podcasts, and recipes to help along the way. To sign up completely for free, go to gregorthompson.com, the link will be in the show notes, confirm your subscription, and make sure you check your spam folder for your welcome newsletter, and add me to your contacts to continue to receive it in your inbox for free. And that's it. You're on your way to struggling more and being more productive, healthy, and motivated. Now, let's get on with the struggle. This is episode 31 of The Struggle with me, Gregor Thompson. And this week, I'm going to discuss why we should even bother struggling at all. Because after all, as comedian Tom Papa said, it's hard being a human. Just maintaining yourself as you are now is hard. So then to add more struggle on is extremely difficult. It's refraining just as much as doing. It's stopping yourself from eating too much, drinking too much, watching too much, or smoking too much. Now, that is a good start. If you figure out what you're doing that is affecting you negatively, what makes you feel bad physically and mentally, and then reducing how often you do that thing, that will make you better. Then you could become better by doing better. You could sit up and read a page of a book instead of lying in bed all day on your day off. Start small. It's hard enough being a person who wakes up on time, goes to work, cleans themselves, interacts with other people with their own agendas and thoughts and backgrounds, and makes it through the day. That's hard. So if you can do anything, or stop yourself doing something negative, no matter how small, that's a win. Eventually, you'll be able to embrace struggle more and more consistently, and in this way, you'll be voluntarily struggling and working more and achieving more. However, unfortunately, it doesn't end there. There's more weight to be added to your burden. Weight in which you have no choice but to either pick it up and continue striding forwards or allow it to topple you. Weights in which you can only control your reaction to it rather than instigating it. Weights in which you have no control over when or where they will be placed upon your shoulders. Grief is a prime example. You cannot control the catastrophes that knock you off your feet. The best reaction to grief is to get back up and carry the burden, miss the departed dearly, and struggle onwards. My brother died at 21 when I was 18. The sound of terror in my father's voice, the hysterics my mother was engulfed in, and my legs' inability to support my body all contributed to the horror of two parents losing and outliving a child and a brother losing his hero. The world appears one way, and then in the space of a second, completely alters its appearance. Night had broken, and darkness had completely erased the road ahead, and all the world appeared to be was black. The world was peachy, and then in an instant, it was rotten. In these situations, we walk on the pitch-black road with those we love. Our reaction to the darkness can either be accepting our fate, accepting that we cannot continue towards what we cannot see, and lying down, waiting for the light to come back, which, by the way, it never will unless you continue onwards. Acceptance only comes with action. It doesn't come to you without you searching for it. Or we can change our fate and continue walking, helping those we love continue onwards, and eventually see the light again. If you choose to sit on the side of the dark road, you will either force those around you to carry your weight of suffering alongside theirs, or force those you love to lose someone else in you. If you choose to get up and struggle onwards, you make the situation, at the very least, bearable. You valiantly help those who cannot help themselves. You provide an example of what voluntarily accepting suffering appears to be. You bring yourself and those you love closer to delight. This way, when nighttime inevitably breaks again and catastrophe strikes, you'll know what to do. You won't be as overwhelmed, and you'll help those you love more effectively. The light comes to those who struggle towards it. Darkness engulfs those who let it do so. Denial of death comes when the night is at its darkest. Acceptance comes when the sun first appears. Death is inevitable, so you better struggle now so that you are strong enough when it comes knocking at your door. By doing difficult things now, when things are going relatively okay, you won't be defeated when suffering comes knocking at your door. But I have more bad news. It's not just your hardships, suffering, and struggling that must be accepted. The struggle of other people must be accepted as well, wherever possible. No one perceives the world the way you do. So why would they do the same as you? Don't expect anyone to do as you do. That's how toxic relationships start. They involve at least one person expecting the other to do what they want. They pull you into their orbit. You'll end up carrying the weight of others' vulnerabilities alongside yours, a sole carrier of multiple people's suffering. A true partnership is two people accepting the other's vulnerabilities and weaknesses and bearing the burden together. Fortunately, I strived forward through the night of past relationships and found dawn in the form of love. We venture onward through the night alone until we find a partner who's willing to walk the night alongside you, bearing each other's suffering. Once you have a few nights of struggle under your belt, you'll be better equipped to help others who have given up along the way. Some people find that the night is too much. They don't have the right running shoes, they've injured themselves or they've hit a wall, and they sit on the side of the road alone. They are restricted. Once you are strong enough, take them on your back too. Just like a recovered drug addict helps those who still struggle with addiction, you can help those embrace struggle to bring the world closer to heaven and further from hell. But make sure you're strong enough and the people you're helping actually want your help. To make matters even worse, some have a head start, and some start miles behind. These are the facts of our hierarchical society. Therefore, some have the capacity to run through the night without any effort or struggle. They've got the right running shoes and they've got the right gear. But some can barely move past the starting line. Some never see the darkness until they're adults, and if they haven't been embracing the struggle, they will crumble under the pressure when it eventually comes their way. Some, to quote Batman villain Bane, were born in the darkness. Hopefully you find a way to allow that darkness to enact positive change, unlike Bane. There is always a small minority who start at the back of the herd and who find a way to get moving, especially when the night is at its darkest. They scheme and they plan as the darkness falls, and they sprint through the abyss and come out of the light shining brighter than everyone else. Meaning isn't equal. It isn't rationed evenly among everyone. Meaning is saved for those who struggle for it. The light is shine on those who run through the darkness. Meaning is a reaction. Therefore, meaning reacts to actions. Just as always choosing the easiest and most comfortable option will lead to a difficult life, so too choosing the difficult, unpredictable, and strugglesome option will lead to meaning and fulfillment. Embracing the dark leads to light. As we begin the journey of struggle towards meaning, we must accept our limitations and vulnerabilities if we are ever to move forward. Without them, we would have nothing to do. Without an issue, there would be nothing to solve. We must accept that it's dark if we are ever to venture away from it. Being self-aware or self-conscious is one thing, but being self-conscious and moving forward in spite of whatever it is that you're self-conscious about is unbearably possible. Accepting that you could fail because you're vulnerable is the first step on the route to meaning. Then those steps must be repeated constantly. As long as you're struggling, you will have limitations, and that must be accepted continually. You must continually acknowledge your limitations and vulnerabilities, then sacrifice and struggle onward through the darkness. Being aware of our limitations is burdensome. No one would blame you for accepting them and trying to forget about them, but you never will, and you will eternally be lost in the darkness if you choose this path. Being aware of our limitations and struggling forward anyway and attempting to rectify them, running through the dark when others would stop, provides a path few have tread. The struggle for meaning. The answer lies in the struggle. So keep on struggling. Just a few more things before you take off. Firstly, thank you for watching. It genuinely means a lot to see people viewing and liking the content. Second, if you're enjoying the content, please subscribe. It's the best way you can support the podcast. As you can probably tell, I don't have a lot of fancy equipment and I don't have a team behind me helping with recording and editing the podcast. So any support from you is greatly appreciated and it will help the podcast grow. You can also stay up to date with everything I'm doing on social media. All of the links will be in the show notes. And you can listen to the Struggle podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And lastly, keep on struggling.